Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have taken anonymous breaks once again, but I am back like I left for a long time, but realistically it hasn't been that long, so we're just going to jump into it. Hope everyone's Friday is going well. This is my first podcast in a while that will be live. I was intending to do it because some people or had one of my friends request to go live. Did a bit of promoting of it being live, so hopefully those who know are aware. If they're tuning in, greatly appreciated. If not, it will be on iTunes, so don't worry if you miss it as it's live. Forgot to share it with the sports group. Brothers and sisters, y'all know how I do. My brain cells have been fried like crazy. Hold it to my head and not my heart. So with that being said, if you've seen the screenshots of the images between Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, you are aware that I have quite the organized chaos of topics to share with the crew today. And there's no exception today because I'm a little behind. But I have a good reason in all fairness, and I've been just trying to get everything going. But, you know, as life takes you down certain roads, you just kind of are forced to do what you got to do, and that's been the name of the game. So that's where I'm at, and we're just going to let it be what it is and not use any excuses and kind of progress to digress. So first topic that I'm going to jump into is not finally, but once again, Serena has won the women's championship for Wimbledon. I'm hoping that came through my earphones and not through my podcast. If it did, that's perfect. If not, oh well. We're just going to keep it moving. Anyway, so Serena won a few Saturdays ago. I'm probably like super behind on sharing this story because I've just been out of touch with life. But it's not on purpose. Anyway, it's interesting because I was intending to just present the story of her winning and her records as far as breaking records, but it's actually a unique story that's being shared with her because she won the title for Wimbledon, but due to the date of when she won, she lost some money due to timing. So let's see, I want to make sure I remember the date of it because it was on a Sunday. And you know I'm bad with days and lives and times and whatever. But she won the championship not too long after the fourth. I do remember that much, and that's going to probably not be beneficial to any of my listeners because they're going to be like, Brian, if you did a podcast, you should know the day she won. Yes, she won the championship on the 9th. So on the 9th of July, it was a little too late as far as her winning her actual winnings. She was supposed to have won $2.97 million, but due to what they have called an economic fallout with the Brexit vote, she ended up only winning $2.63 million money. So to break that down into numeric perspective, after June 23rd, there was a change in money or change in rules. So the equivalent means that she lost out on $340,000 as well as $30,000 that was pulled based on her winning the doubles match with her sister, which is huge. If you really think about it, because you think these players aren't just playing just to be playing and winning, but they're actually playing to get paid. So it was an odd coincidence that she didn't get her full amount. And it's kind of tough because they really can't pay it back. But, and I'm sorry, it is relevant that I did find the article that I did because it turns out this was actually her 7th Wimbledon singles victory. And she is the third biggest prize winner behind Djokovic and Roger Federer. So that's a big group to be amongst, especially as a woman in the tennis community. And I don't want to downplay it or ignore it, but Andy Murray won on the men's side, and he got his second title for Wimbledon. If I'm not mistaken, Nadal didn't play. Federer, I think, you might as well accept it. He's on the cusp of retiring if he hasn't retired yet. So we'll see what happens with that. My next story that I have to jump into, and I'm not going to ignore because I really feel like it's irrelevant. It's a very relevant story. Is they've played. I caught what games of theirs that I could, but the summer league is now officially behind us. Don't everybody cry at once. Trust me, I didn't watch many games myself. The few games that I did catch, I caught quite an interesting amount of information or knowledge about some of the guys who have played. So what I found was a list, and they broke down the top 10 rookie performers predominantly from the summer league in Las Vegas. Number one on the list is not the number one draft pick. So if you thought it was Ben Simmons, you thought wrong. The number one standout was Jaylen Brown, who coincidentally is a small forward, but plays pretty good at his position. He's going to have a good chance to get the green light in Boston. That's part of the reason why they got rid of Evan Turner. Pay attention to what goes on, because things are done to get other people into places where they want them to be. So it's just something you got to think about and kind of let be what it is. He had a pretty solid stat line, averages of 16 points, 6 rebounds, nearly 3 steals a game. Got better at the free throw line, and he's only 19. So, as with any player, you have to give him time, but I think he'll do just fine. Number 2 is where he played, because he had a pretty solid stat line, but it wasn't anything wowing. He made the All-Summer League. He made the All-NBA Summer League first team. He'll probably get Rookie of the Year if I was to take a guess. But it was Ben Simmons. He averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists per game. And it was he mainly was able to break down the defenders and just make it clear, like, hey, if y'all don't defend me as a forward, I'm going to expose you. And that's pretty much what he did. He just went out there, he played his game, he let his game speak for itself. He had a few injuries. He was very passive with some of his play. I think what Philadelphia wants from him the most, in my personal opinion, is they want him to attack. And if he can get that attack mindset in his head, he'll be just fine. It's just a matter of allowing that to occur. So we'll keep an eye on how that turns out. Shortest guy in the draft, most consistent, willing to step up, do his part, was Tyler Ulis from Kentucky. He went to Phoenix. He was number 3 on the list, averaging close to 15 points, 6.3 assists, made second team honors for All NBA Summer League. He's going to be a very high energetic point guard in the event of if Eric Bledsoe gets injured, if Eric Bledsoe needs time to rest. Tyler Ulis will step in and play that role of bringing points or bringing an instant offense off the bench. So keep an eye on him. I think he'll really surprise some players. Kay Felder. Don't even know who he is. He was an unexpected second round pick. Sorry, I left the mic. He's going to be the Dellavedova 2.0 from what they put in his article. He averaged about 15 points, 42% shooting, close to 4 rebounds a game, and nearly 4 assists. And they brought this up as a key stat. What we're seeing or what we're observing now is only being seen in the summer league. So we don't know how these guys are going to look once they get on an actual roster and play with, true NBA players. Nothing to take away from anybody who's playing in summer league. Most guys who are playing in summer league are playing for one of two purposes: to make a team or to get some run in to prepare to play once the season starts or once preseason gets started. Sorry, I needed to like really adjust to this mic because it's like a struggle. All right, number 5 on the list, we have the 10 foul master himself, which I didn't even realize was possible, but someone actually fouled out of a summer league game, and that was Thon Maker. Despite him having that occur, he had a pretty solid performance, averaged 14 points, nearly 10 rebounds. I don't like the comparison, but I have to accept it because it's valid. He is going to be similar, but not the same as Kevin Garnett. They don't play the same. Thon Maker has a wider spread when it comes to the court. He actually can score in different places or in different ways, so that's going to be a little different. Because you'll never see. I mean, Garnett shot threes, but Garnett was not like, hey, let me go out to the 3-point line and shoot some jumpers. It's not gonna happen. You saw it in summer league. You'll likely see it in high. You likely would have seen it in high school, but he's very raw in his gameplay, and it's going to show and it's going to stand out as he plays. So that's just something you kind of have to take with him as far as his gameplay. Number 6 from the Lakers, he was their second pick. I mean, he was their second. Yeah, he was the second pick that they picked up, and that was Ivica Zubac. Now they probably picked up other players, but I probably am like missing it wrong. And there's my first phone call that is not mine, but nonetheless, Zubac was a pretty decent player. He played pretty good for what he did. Number 7, Brandon Ingram from the Lakers was the number 2 overall pick. He didn't really play great, but he didn't play awful. He didn't play great, but he didn't play awful where he wouldn't be the standout. He has a solid performance, and it's interesting because he's a Kevin Durant. He has a Kevin Durant style build, but he's not Kevin Durant. So let's not get our hopes up and say, oh, he's the next Kevin Durant. Like, something that players and fans and sports fanatics and guys and people and girls who watch sports need to understand, and I'm going to really get away from improving and looking at my stats as I'm saying this. No player is going to play like another player. You're not going to have the next anything. For instance, and this is going to take folks back, but I'm going to go there. When Harold Miner came in the league, they called him Baby Jordan. Big mistake. He didn't live up to the hype, everyone. I don't know if y'all remember. He struggled. He really struggled. Like, struggled. I almost don't even want to say he played in the league for 6 years. I would play stat pool, but the way my social setup is going, I'm not even going to do that because it's not even necessary. But Brandon Ingram is not Kevin Durant. Brandon Ingram is Brandon Ingram. He has a different gameplay or a different play style from Kevin Durant. Yes, both of them are quick scorers, but they're going to be in totally different style offenses. And when I say that, I really mean it in the most direct and candid way possible. I think we need to stop doing this with players. Anybody who in their right mind says that LeBron is the new Jordan needs to stop. Or that he's better than Jordan. Like, come on. He just won 3 championships. He's got, 3 or 4 all MVPs. A lot of his MVPs, some people believe that he should be winning MVP every year. Not true. You have to factor in how a player would be if you took them off that team. I know that was a tangent. I know I went a little aggro with it, and I know it's kind of unexpected for me to do, but it was in my brain, and I'm gonna do it because it's my podcast, and I can do what I want. Okay, shoot. Patrick McCaw was number 8. He averaged nearly 16 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. He shot pretty well from the field at about 47%. Actually could bring it up from the 3. He's going to be a key bench player from what I can hear. I haven't seen him play because I really didn't get to catch Golden State play in the summer league, and I'm guilty of it because I didn't have a life, guys. I mean, you know how I do. No, honestly, I really didn't get to see him play. Number 9 is an interesting option. Skal Libiseer. I want to be on board with the SL train, but I'm not yet because he doesn't really do it for me yet. He got passed up by a lot of teams. I think he wants to let people know that he's really trying to get his feet grounded and pounded and established in the NBA. Sacramento may not be the best place to do it. I don't know how to really say it in a nicer way. And it's not his fault. It's just the way the game is. And they brought up an interesting story on Open Court one day. And matter of fact, I think I was looking at it yesterday. Kenny Smith mentioned how he went through the rigmarole of being drafted by Sacramento and how they were very unfriendly in making him feel welcome when he first got drafted. Things like that stand out. Now, it may have changed, obviously, because it's been God knows how many years since he played. But regardless, if a player has went through that back then and the team now has a struggling culture of winning, their culture of winning left when the Maloof brothers left. And I mean that with a straight face. It's not their fault. It's just the way it goes. Because anytime you get a coach goes 27 and 45 or whatever, and you fire him because the team's not winning games because they're in pretty much a dominant based division, getting rid of the coach isn't going to fix everything. We sometimes forget that. And number 10 on the list is Denzel Valentine. Now, I must admit, he's going to make some very key plays for Chicago. Being that Derrick Rose is gone, they have... I don't see him being a starter. Don't put him as a starter, because that's going to take away from Jimmy Butler. And we already know Butler is their guy. If they got rid of Rose, Butler is their guy. If they got rid of Joakim Noah, Butler is their guy. They brought in D. Wade at the end of his career. Jimmy Butler is their guy. So just think about those things and put those pieces in your head as you see it all happen. I skipped this story and I forgot about it because I'm a bad sports guy, but excuse me, and I'm sorry, like, you'll probably hear this. This is the first time I've done a live podcast in a while. So it's a little different, but it is what it is. I'm just going to kind of let it be what it's going to be. Usually my other podcasts, I let them just go, and I kind of add my little editing intro and outro. No intro, outro today. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But Portugal won the Euro Championship this year. They won it off of a single goal against France. Really didn't talk about the game much. It was really kind of like it happened, came and went. But it's a big deal for Portugal. Why? Because, believe it or not, that means Ronaldo got a Euro Championship, whereas Messi has yet to get one with Argentina. The struggles of a soccer player, or as we hear it in other countries, the struggles of a futbol player. So I had that story kind of quick and to the point to talk about, but I did want to make sure I mentioned it. Found a story, kind of random story, and I guess before I do that story, I just want to take a brief moment to acknowledge the passing of Dennis Green. A lot of you may or may not know Dennis Green passed. He was the coach of the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. He was coaching the Vikes during the Randall Cunningham, the Randy Moss, the Chris Carter days. And it's just odd because they really were in a winning based formula, and they let him go. So, brief moment of silence All right. Did that a little different, but it is me being me. So it is what it is. So I've got my last story. Now my stories this week were a little different, and I'm gonna tell you why. Usually I have I'm telling kind of a bit of my way of prepping. It's probably not a right way, but it's probably not a good way, but it's my way and it works. I get keywords or key topics or key stories that have happened in sports, throw them in, write them down, get them prepped, and then get tabs or links related to those stories or those events occur. This one of this week was a little different because by it being so long since everything had happened, I just found the stories. But it works out in my favor, and I'm probably telling a lot more than I need to, but as y'all know, I don't care because I'm me. Nice to meet you. For instance, with the Serena story, I was supposed to be talking about how many titles she had won and how many records she had set. But it was a coincidence because I pulled up the stories and the first thing that came up was about that money breakdown. So I just was like, hey, I'll share that. And my last story that I have is kind of going to be my closer because normally I'm shutting it down by this point anyway because I'm sticking to my script. 22 roundabout because I've learned. I'm learning. But Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yes, I said it just like it sounds, and that is exactly how it's pronounced and spelled. Well, I didn't spell it, but how it's pronounced. Zlatan went to Man U. I am in salty mode about this solely because he's going to Jose. I don't know why I said Jose. You know I ain't messed up. I did fine on Zlatan and messed up on Jose. Should know Jose for other reasons. But anyway. Jose Mourinho is the coach for Man U. And of course, he was previously the coach at Chelsea. So for him to come in and to get Zlatan out the box, beautiful story. I really and truly am going to say this as an unbiased fan of no team, just the sport. Zlatan better play better than Balotelli did at Liverpool. One of my friends is a Liverpool fan, and I hope he hears me say this. But I really think Zlatan has to bring it. I feel like he will, as long as they put him in the right formation. Formations play such a key role in soccer because where you put your 10 can make or break a team quicker than you think. And I've seen that with a lot of games between watching FIFA players play FIFA as well as watching games being played on TV in general. But the random story that I found, and that's why I went into the random story tangent for a reason, because this story was an interesting one. Supposedly, there's an article or a company, there's a news article in UK called The Mirror that says it looks like Zlatan's tattoos are gone. Supposedly he had tattoos, and most players have tattoos. I know Messi has plenty of tattoos. His, you can see from 8 yards away. But anywho, he has all his tattoos, and supposedly most of them were temporary tattoos. He had the name. So I'm gonna read the story, and I don't like doing this, but because I'm reading it and it's not, I'm gonna get, like I said, I give credit to mirror.co.uk. If you go on their site, look up Zlatan Ibrahimovic tattoos gone. After Mourinho, mainly Mourinho was doing an interview and they talked about it. Mourinho went through the trouble of answering the question. We thought the site answers the second question for you. Ibrahimovic was snapped after a PSG game in 2015. covered in tattoos, but the truth is that most of them were temporary. He had the names of 15 people suffering from hunger and famine tattooed onto his upper body in a bid to raise global awareness of the issue. At the time, he said, I have 15 removable tattoos on my body. They are the names of real people who are suffering from hunger in the world. Those tattoos have gone now. These people are still here. I hope that you can see them through me. Ibrahimovic still does still have a number of permanent tattoos, but they are all on his arms and down the side of his torso, which is perhaps why they aren't clearly visible in the video. There was a video posted on Instagram where you couldn't see any tattoos, and it was because of that reason. So, point being is, just because you see what you see and photos are taken, oh, he got tattoos, oh, it's this, and it's that, it's this. Get the story behind it, or let the story tell itself before you make it out to be what you think it's going to be instead of what it really is. We do that sometimes and we get it wrong. And because we are people, we don't care. And it's kind of bad because I'm saying we in such an aggressive terminology, but it's a truthful statement if you really look at it. So just something to think about. And sorry, I'm having like breath problems because normally I got to redo everything, and I think that's what I'm about to do is like reconfigure my life in this whole setup and get that all done. But anyway, I'm gonna close out here. I really love what I'm doing. Oh, before I go, because I don't want to forget, I was given some ideas, and I'm gonna forewarn you about a few of my ideas. This podcast, let me go ahead and minimize my excitement and be a little sporadic for a second. Move that there so I can breathe. Okay. This podcast has been a blast. It's been a joy. Since I opened up the Brytay podcast, it's solely been sports. Okay, cool. I like it. I'm feeling it. But I need to expand a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because I've talked about this on my podcast, and I don't want it to just sound like a broken record. I don't want to run into the challenge of it being dull or being stale. Like, I want people to actually enjoy listening to what I have to say on these episodes. So what I'm going to do is bring up some topics and challenge some people with a few things as far as money maintenance, possibly bring up technology. You know, I want to target the techies of social media. And that's going to be in every way that I can, whether it's from the musical aspect, which I still haven't forgotten to do. Yeah, I went there. And I still want to do my gaming breakdowns because I feel like it's a lot of gaming that is and isn't addressed, but it can be done. So I am going to get those thoughts organized. Sorry for the accent. If I offended anybody, I do apologize. But hey, this is my podcast. I can do what I want. Y'all already know what time it is. Anywho, if you have any ideas, any suggestions, any input, any feedback, any ways or any topics that you would like me to talk about, please share them on my like page on Facebook, which is Brytay Podcast. I finally have a Twitter page, and I believe I shared that in the last podcast. I'm going to breathe myself into a coma. Sorry, y'all. I know y'all hear, like, why is he breathing like it's life or death? My Twitter page is Brytay Podcast, and I am on Instagram under Brytay Podcast as well. If you don't want it to publicly be discussed and it's something you personally want to send me to talk about, send it to brytaypodcast@gmail.com. Don't mind. I get email there frequently / occasionally. I guess that's the best way to say it, but I just want this to be something for my listeners. This is not something I'm doing for me, because I truly and honestly don't get anything out of it other than just time to talk on a microphone. Just relax for a little bit. So, input, feedback, and I haven't forgotten, and I've mentioned it a few podcasts ago, and I'll mention it and bring it back up again. Still looking for a co-host. If anybody wants to join me on the show, or wants me to join, or wants to link up to set up my show and helping it get to another level, I'm available. I'm free. I'm ready. I'm game. So that's where we're at, and that's what I'm doing. And until next time, this is BT signing out. Y'all be blessed. Stay positive. Do good things. You'll get good things in return. And I'm out. Peace.